Hello, darlings. Isn't it funny how life goes at times? Plans don't go right for whatever reason. Your life can change in a split second, whether it be because you're paralysed from being in a car accident, or you've lost a loved one from a work accident, or Mother Nature has just taken your home away from you. You know, whatever life throws at you, I have learned from my own experiences, which I call the school of life. And it's a real school. That everything is constantly changing, nothing stays the same. And I have learned not to take anything for granted anymore. You know, not everyone gets a second chance at living life. And oh my God, I'm so glad that I am able to have another chance at living life again. I really am. I still can't believe it. And you know, every morning when we wake up and you see the sunshine, it's a gift, a precious gift. Now, today I want to talk about my life story. When I was born in the early 70s, and my first few years of life were good, they were fun and happy. But when I turned about 7, or around about then, 6 or 7, everything just changed for the worst, and it didn't go back to being okay like it was before. And the first thing that happened was when my mum took me to a disco one night. She got me out of bed about 11 o'clock at night, and I remember walking down the street, and we arrived at the public hall down in the main street where there was a disco. And that was the night my life changed, and that was the first negative experience that I had in my whole life. Because it was okay at first, but then when I started with the lights, especially the lights that flash and that, the lights didn't agree with me, and that made me feel nausea. So I spent my night, the whole night, while my mum was dancing on the floor with some guy on the dance floor, I was lying down on the cold concrete hard floor. I just couldn't stop spewing up and feeling dizzy, and I was really disappointed with my mum because she didn't even come in to see if I was okay. She didn't come into the toilet to see if I was okay, not even once. And I don't remember anything after that. And then I remember a few days later or so, my parents had a big fight about it, so they separated for a few months, and my brother stayed with my dad, and my mum and I went to live with her sister. And that was because of the disco, because my mum wasn't supposed to be there, and she was dancing with some guy, like I said, while my dad was at work, and apparently that disco had to do with the football club, and she had nothing to do with the football club, so she wasn't supposed to be there. I believe from what I heard, she wasn't even invited. She just invited herself. How rude. So anyway, my parents were arguing in the kitchen. I don't know where my brothers were. They're out somewhere with their friends. And my parents were arguing about who's going to take the kids. And my dad put me on the spot. All of a sudden he goes, well, Karen's here, let's ask her. Karen, who do you want to live with, me or Mum? I just couldn't believe it. I wanted to choose my mum, but I was just angry with her for taking me to the disco and neglecting me that night. I wanted to choose her, but I just automatically went to my dad and I put my arms around him, even though I felt like I didn't want to run to him. I wanted to run to my mum, and this created this misunderstanding. And my mum never forgave me for choosing my dad, and that was when she became unemotionally detached towards me. And so then after, I don't know, a couple of months or so, after we went back to live with after our parents got back together and we went back home to live with my dad and my brothers again. And even though, it's what I don't understand, because even though they spent the rest of their lives together, I mean, they're still living together in their nursing home, you know. My mum she was never the same towards me. And she, hello, Bobby. You want to come over and cuddle Mommy? Come on. Say hello to everyone. Come on, Bobby. Come over here. Everyone, say hello to Callie. Callie. Callie, say hello. You're so pretty, girl. My baby girl. You're turning into a YouTube starlet. And you pretty girl. Oops. I'm going to try and hold this up straight. Yeah, so that's what happened. And about a week after I went back home, I remember my mum got me out of the bath. And we went back into my bedroom. And I was getting dried and just about to get ready to put my pajamas on when all of a sudden, I don't know, my mum just stood up and she looked like she was thinking about something seriously, but whatever it was, I could tell like she wasn't thinking about something good because I could tell by her eyes. And all of a sudden, he just calmly said, I'm not doing this anymore. And she turned around and she walked out and she went into the lounge room and she sat down and she started watching television. And all of a sudden, she was just so happy. And I was just standing there confused, watching her thinking, is she going to come back in? And she never came back in. So I had to dress myself and hop into bed. And that was the beginning. That was when my mum first abandoned me, and that was the beginning of, I'm going to put this back up here again, so, yeah, so that was the beginning of the neglect. And because of the result of that neglect, I ended up becoming anorexic. Well, I mean, I had no other choice, because if your parents don't feed you, what do? You know, and because that was when my mum changed, and I believe she had a nervous breakdown, and as a result, she became like mentally ill, because that was when she just changed, like meaning she stopped doing all their housework, she stopped shopping, and she stopped being my mum, and she just started doing everything that she wanted to do, and she started living in this like fantasy world of hers, and so that's what happened there. Hello, darling. You want to go hop over here with Mummy? Yeah? You're thinking about it, I can tell. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. Come on, come over here. Say hello to everyone. Say, hello, Callie. I'm your sister now. She's my baby. So, there was started like a chain reaction after that. And then the next thing that happened was my grandfather died. And that was very emotional for me, because my grandfather was like my best friend at that time, because I remember I was born deaf. I mean, I can hear now only because I've had the cochlear implant. But he taught me how to talk. And we used to sit at the kitchen table at my grandparents' place, and he would have a can of beer, and I'd have a glass of Coke, and there would be, hello, Bobby. Come on. Here you come. Come cuddle, Mommy. Good girl. Here you go. There you go. And so, yeah, Puppy. Say hello. Gonna make herself comfy. Yeah, so he taught me how to talk, and every time I got a word right, I'd get a ginger cookie. And I think that's why I love ginger now. I'm not sure, but that's what I think. What are you doing? Puppy, pretty girl. Pretty baby, be careful. So then, not long after that, the next chain reaction was my older brother, who broke my clavicle, which is this one. Come on, Bubby, move your tail out the way. There you go. Oh, where are you going? Off you go. She's gone back into the back of the pretty baby. Yes, you are, pretty baby. Let's say hello again to her. Say hello. Mummy's baby girl. Yeah, so he took me up to the backyard behind the shed there, and we used to play wrestling. And this time he just grabbed my wrist and took both my wrists, and he just threw me up over like that, and I landed on my shoulder. And my shoulder broke, and so that was the next thing that happened, and that was the start of my depression and anxiety. And even though I didn't like what was happening at the time, I just couldn't understand everything that was happening, and that's how my childhood was, right up until I was 17, when I moved out of home, when I first moved in with my first boyfriend. And so my whole childhood I was just anorexic, because I was neglected and abused, and I was just suffering from anxiety and depression and that. And then when I was 17, when I met my boyfriend, and he was my first true love, and I was his first true love. So I moved into his house, and he was living with his parents at that time. What are you doing, Bubby? And that when I moved into his place, that was when the abuse at home stopped. Because, well, of course, because I'm not there to experience that anymore. But I started to experience the abuse from his side, meaning, at least he wasn't nowhere near as bad as what my ex-husband turned out to be, but still, because he used to smoke dope, and, he would ask me to buy him a painting, and then I'd get him the painting for Christmas, and then he'd have a go at me for getting the painting, saying, oh, look, all I can do is look at it. I can't do anything with it. And then I learned later on that he's just saying that because he wanted dope. Just things like that. And he was the one who broke my shoulder, my clavicle, the second time. And even though it wasn't really a car accident, it was involved in a car accident, but it wasn't really a car accident, it was abuse, because what happened is that he always had this habit of pulling in front of the other car that was coming, and that's what happened this day, and he would laugh about it every time and go, oh, ha, 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 because he enjoyed making the other driver feel furious, because that made him feel good, and, he was always doing that every single time. But this time, his foot slipped off the clutch and the car stalled. But what happened this time was that there was this, because we were in a little Corolla sedan, and this guy's in this big monster Cadillac, and he just comes around the corner speeding, and boom, straight into us. And I just looked at him, meaning my boyfriend, like, I couldn't believe you hurt me. And then, just the way that he didn't care, because he kept saying, I didn't see him, but it was a lie because he really did. And that night, because I had to go up to the hospital in Ballarat, and he's putting on those crocodile tears saying, oh, look, I want to come up to the hospital with you, but I can't. But he wouldn't elaborate why. And then the next day I found out he was smoking dope with all of his friends in his bungalow, and that's why he didn't want to come up to the hospital with me. And, just things like that. And then a couple of years later, he changed into a different person because he became a speed junkie. And he was all of a sudden, because of the speed, he was going around impregnating everyone who he could without washing or anything. And so I left him, and then he started stalking me. Because he wanted the best of both worlds, and I said, leave me alone, and he wouldn't. So then, a few months later, I met my ex-husband through my friend, who ended up becoming my sister-in-law because she's married to his brother, and that's how we met. And I thought we were going to I was going to enjoy a good, happy, safe marriage, but the opposite turned out to be true, and I ended up being isolated for 22 years in an extremely violent marriage where he pushed the wall unit on top of me, and he got me right here in my left breast with this long 16-inch kitchen knife. I'll put you up there, I think. Hello, Bubby. And he strangled me on 3 separate occasions. And one of those times was when I was asleep. And I had to leave him because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here by now. So I was lucky I did leave in time, just because what happened was I was walking past Daniel's bedroom door. He was playing a game on his Xbox, and the front door was open, but the wide door was closed. But it wasn't locked because the door handle was broken, so it looked like it was locked, but it wasn't. And my ex-husband just came out of nowhere, and he got his hands on my shoulders, and he's pushing me back into back into the door, and the door just sprung open, and then all of a sudden we were on the balcony, and he just pushed the back of my head into the concrete balcony wall so hard. I just went down in a pile of pain, and my son saw the whole thing, and I never want to see the look on his face ever again. Never want to see that look ever again. And I knew something was wrong because I could feel the blood rush into my face. And what happened was that a little blood vessel erupted when my head hit the wall so hard. And not long after that's when I left him, and I had to go back home to my parents' place because I had nowhere else to go. And I had to learn how to talk again because I couldn't talk because of the brain damage done from when my head hit the concrete balcony wall. And then all of a sudden, not only was my anxiety and depression became worse, now I also have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, because of the violence. And I might go during the day, but it's when I go to sleep at night. As soon as my subconscious kicks in, I just can't. I'm always thinking about the abuse that he's doing to us, and it's just not fair. It's just not right. However, not long after I left him was when I started working on my book that I'm writing that's going to be published later this year, because I've now finally finished writing it, which I'm using my experiences so I can help others, so I can teach others how to navigate a dangerous relationship if they were to find themselves in that situation. Because I never had that opportunity. So I want to give others that opportunity that I never had. Meaning, like when I got married, no one never told me anything. Like, if you get married and if your husband hits you or yells mean names at you, it's called domestic violence, and it's abuse, and it's a crime. And he's the perpetrator and you're the victim, and you must get away from him immediately to keep yourself safe, and here's a phone number to call if you need to talk to someone, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I didn't even know what domestic violence was. I mean, I grew up with violence as a child, but with the family violence, but I thought that was, even though I didn't like it, I thought it was normal, because back in those days, domestic violence was a common thing. It was commonplace and acceptable. Not like now, times have changed now, but, so I think that's why I just accepted it, because, well, that's all that I knew, And I did not know anything about domestic violence until I had to leave my husband because of it. And it was when I went to the Family Violence Services for counselling that they told me everything. And all of a sudden, everything made sense. And that's when I realised it wasn't my fault. I had nothing to do with it. Because my ex-husband used to blame me and put all the blame on me and say it was my fault and all that. And that was when I realised it was called domestic violence, and I just couldn't believe it. You like my necklace? And if you notice, you turn it around and the sun spins. Pretty. I got it because sometimes I feel like fiddling, especially when I feel anxious, and so I can play with my necklace and it helps calm me down a bit. But it's still pretty. And so then the family violence gave me back my life. And now I'm living my dream life. I can't believe I'm so happy now. And my family violence, they gave me my apartment and got me a place to live. And they gave me back my car because my ex-husband, I had a dream car, Gemini, it was my dream car, and he went and sold it behind my back without my permission for $500. And he spent the whole $500 on dope, which he smoked in less than a week. And while he's smoking it, he's laughing and he's like saying, "Oh, look, bitch, I'm smoking your car." Even if he hadn't said that, that's what he was doing anyway. And that really hurt. And oh my God, it stunk so vile, it stunk so bad. Couldn't breathe and blah. It was absolutely blah. Disgusting. So they wanted to know everything that happened. So I told the family violence everything that happened. And because of that, they reimbursed me a car. They got me my flat. They gave me Callie, my fur baby, who you just saw. And I named Callie after the social worker who helped me. Don't you start moving around. So yeah. So that's what happened, and that's how I came to be living on the Barra side of Melbourne. So now I'm living my dream life, you know. I'm driving my dream car. I'm living with my dream baby girl. And you, Bobby, living in my dream apartment. And working at my dream job. And that. They also got me a job working for home help services, which is good. And now I'm going to focus my career on being an author, which is what I always wanted to do. So I thought the first book I'm going to write about is using my experience to help people so they can learn how to. So if they were to find themselves in my situation, they will know what to do, what not to do, how to do things before they start a relationship. So if they know, so I'm hoping by doing this will not only help people, but actually help save lives too. Because when you're a domestic violence victim and you're in a domestic violence relationship, you have to be your own first responder. I know you've got an ambulance and you've got police there, but they can't always save you. And I know what it's like to have so many near-death experiences. It's like, after a while it becomes normal, and it's like death doesn't scare you anymore. You know, it's just normal, it's just boring, you know, and that's what happens in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with my career as an author, educating and teaching about domestic violence, and I'm going to continue living my dream life. Oh my God, I'm so happy now. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So in your life, don't take anything for granted. You know, always tell your loved ones how much you care about them and you love them, because you never know, that day could be your last day or their last day. Anything can happen at any time. And you know that saying, how life is stranger than fiction? I'll tell you what, now that saying is absolutely true. It really is. Okay, so this video has been going now for half an hour. I don't want it to be too long, so I'm going to end it here. Where's my baby? Let's say bye-bye to Callie first. Callie, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Isn't she beautiful? Hey, Bobby, give Mommy a kissy. Give Mommy a kissy. Kissy. Pretty puppy. Hello, pretty baby. Yeah. Say hello. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. No, not to me. To the viewers. Alright, we're going to leave it there. So, thank you for joining me for today's video. Oh, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give my videos a thumbs up. And I'll see you in my next video. And remember, live your life your way. Don't live someone else's dream. Live life by your rules. It's your life, live it your way regardless of what other people say. Okay, I think that's about it for now. I can't think of anything else to say, so I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, darlings.